Salem. Say hi. Meow.
The way that she's sitting. Okay, we can let her go. Let her go back and relax. She was relaxing. Probably not gonna.
If Charlie is so great, why do you do what you do?
This is in regards to the video that Cody put out like 2 weeks ago.
Talking about you?
Yeah.
So as far as like doing what I do, none of it has to do with Charlie. Yes, she is great. She's beautiful, she's funny, she's smart, she's independent, she's awesome, she's amazing, but it doesn't have anything to do with her. Me doing what I do is it kind of has to do with who I am, what I've grown up with, my own problems, my own demons, my own insecurities. It's me. It's not like oh, she's too hard on me at home, so I have to go cheat, or I have to go find something somewhere. It's not like that at all. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's also like most wives, if they find out that their husband is cheating, or it could be the other way around too. If they find out that their husband is cheating, they are they're immediately angry. They throw the husband's stuff all out the door. It's those initial reactions of anger and hurt. And Charlie was very quick to forgive me for what I've done, and move on from that. And because she is my first real relationship, I've never got that whole had to work for forgiveness type thing. So when she was immediately forgiving and loving towards me, I was like, oh cool, I can do what I do, and I still get to keep my family, still get to have my own life, and she's not going to do anything about it. That was my reactions to that. So when I kept doing what I'm doing, and now she's actually being hurt by this, and she's actually thinking we got to start making some changes, otherwise we're not going to be living together anymore. Now, since it's kind of reversed, like normally a wife would be like, once she sees her husband is gaining sobriety and actively working towards recovery, then that forgiveness comes, then that trust starts to build back up. But for us, it was almost opposite. So I never had I never got that feeling of like motivation, I guess you could say. I never started working towards actually getting my family back, because in my mind I kept thinking, oh, I can do what I do and it'll all be okay. I can still sneak by, or I can still I could still be forgiven no matter what. And so once it started to not be that way, then obviously that's where things are different. But why I do what I do, if she's so great, it honestly doesn't really have anything to do with her. I do it because of my own problems.
When I think like not even in regards to us, like not even answering this question as us, whether your husband's an addict or your wife's an addict or they're just a person who cheats, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's not if I was prettier, if I lost more weight after the baby, I know a man who's in the same situation. He said, well, maybe if I went to the gym more and I lost some weight, maybe if I was able to be more manly, or this or that or whatever. And I've heard people who have cheated been on the other side and say, well, he didn't feel like a man, or he was this or he was that. And the real answer is, it has nothing to do with the person being cheated on. It has nothing to do with the person being cheated on. There are people who are in relationships every day and they're miserable and they don't cheat. And there are people who have it good and they cheat. Why? Because the person who's cheating has their own struggles, like he said, their own struggles, their own demons, their own not knowing their worth, their own things that they need to work on that has absolutely nothing to do with the person who's being cheated on. So if you're in this situation, whether your spouse is an addict or your person that you're dating is an addict or they're not, they're just cheating on you, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with things that they need to work on within themselves. So don't take this upon yourself. And in regards to the second thing, I think we've talked about this in our groups before, that yeah, a lot of the women, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're not talking to their husbands, they hate them, they're like doing things out of spite, like not doing their laundry on purpose, or not giving them gifts, or being rude, or like passive aggressive, different things like that. Like that's how they started out. So when they became when they became forgiving, their husbands were like, wow, like this huge light flipped on in their head, like I need to take this opportunity because this person is not a forgiving person. They're showing me love, they're showing me that they're being humble, that they're giving me this one chance that I have to change, and they take that. Whereas with us, like, I wouldn't even call it forgiving, because yes, I was forgiving, but I was also, like, it was more compassionate and caring, and that compassion, he realized, like, I can keep using this to my advantage. So every time, yes, I'd be like, this is a new boundary, but it wasn't very strict, and it was never out of hate. Not even at the end was it out of hate. So it's not that I'm not forgiving now, it's just my boundaries were more strict, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm walking away because I have to, that this has to happen. And for him, he was like, he never got that wow moment of this forgiveness means something big. To him, it was always just, I'm entitled to having this forgiveness. Like, this is going to happen, this is something I'm entitled to. Once I stopped giving him those opportunities to keep abusing and the situation and to keep doing what he was doing, he at first got really angry because he felt like he was entitled to have those moments where he could say what he wanted and do what he wanted, and he didn't like that I was not giving him that anymore. So it was very frustrating. It was a very hard thing for us to deal with, and so that was something, unfortunately, that worked against us in this situation. I don't think that being forgiving or compassionate is a bad thing, but it's something that worked against us in this situation. But like we both said, the cheating or the abuse or the, everything else has absolutely nothing to do with the person that's being cheated on.
While we're talking about this, I was just kind of thinking about something. So we're doing these addiction videos. That in its like, that was kind of really paraphrased. That question in its own could be an entire video. So if you guys want us to talk about like a topic or something like that, so like for the next video, if an addict praises his wife, or the other way around as well, but if okay, the battery just died, so I had to charge it up real quick. But as I was saying, well, as she was saying, when she was talking about the how I do what I do and I'm an addict still, and I talk so highly of her, they kind of got me thinking that in itself can be its own video entirely, because there's a lot of stuff that we'd like to say, like about certain topics, or especially when I'm talking through my videos, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to talk about, like go into depth about, but I can't for the sake of like time. So if you guys have any like topics of videos that you'd like us to talk about, definitely put them down in the comments below, or email or something like that, so that way we can actually start talking about what you guys would like to hear and not just whatever we come up with. So that's just something real quick that I was thinking about. What are your top 3 things that, or people that have been helpful in recovery and staying sober? Number 1, I would definitely say the online program that I joined. That was definitely probably the number 1 thing that helped me stay accountable in my recovery and helped me keep moving forward in my recovery. That program was definitely extremely helpful in keeping me accountable in my recovery. Some of the people, there's one of the guys in one of my meetings, his name is Jess. He's been really helpful at giving me different information and different things, like different meeting times. He's the one that actually got me into my Thursday night meetings. He's the one that I contacted, or rather was put in contact with, to go to those meetings, and he's been very, very helpful. And then the last person I would say is somebody that was actually going to the meetings with me. I helped him start going to the meetings, and he was able to turn his life around. I did not, but we've been helping each other, and we've been we were also became friends. So they moved recently. So you're not the only one with talking problems, by the way. They moved recently, and so we actually went over there and helped them like pack everything up, and we've gone out and hung out with them a couple of times, gone out to eat and stuff like that. So he's was definitely a very helpful person in my recovery so far too. So okay, now that that's out of the way, next one is for you. Do you still love me?
Might have addressed this in the past. The thing is, I'm a very loving, caring person. Like, I truly do love every single person that I meet, and Cody can attest to this. Like, sometimes I cry because people don't see like how great they are and how much worth that they have, and sometimes I just like love people so much. I don't know how to word this, but like I am a very loving, caring person. I love and I care about everybody that I meet. They're always important to me. Cody will always be important to me, and I love him as a person. But I think that relationship love, that marriage love, that kind of love that I think you guys are talking about in this question was gone a very long time ago. It was gone before we decided to get a divorce, just kind of due to the situation that we're in and everything that we've been through, and just, you know, everything that we've gone through. So I don't have any attachments in that way. I don't feel love in that way anymore, but as a person, as the father of my children, as a friend, yes.
Has there been a time that you guys have gotten back together since filming your Q&A video?
Because people want the good stuff, the dirt.
Gotten back together, like...
They mean like in a relationship.
Oh.
Yes. The honest answer is yes. I think right after Cody, I figured everything out, he made this huge change in just like the things that he was talking about. He'd come home and like he had all these realizations, and like I could feel the passion in what he was talking about and how much he wanted to change.
I talked about this in my last update video too, which I'll link down below. What she's talking about right now is the exact same thing that I said in my video. I go on these highs where I get all these motivations and all
No,
these
but this one was different.
realizations, and then
this one was like so different. Like he has all these highs and lows and ups and downs and whatever, but this one was like real. Like this one, I thought it might stick. It was like so full of like passion, not even just for himself, but to help others. And like he was striving to go do these things, and he was so excited to come back from his meetings and talk about it, and like reaching out to people in his groups and like trying to help them as much as they were helping him. It was a really good change and a shift to see. And as far as like the way that he was treating me, he was being more conscious of like the things that he was saying, and like the way that he was communicating, and not just saying mean things to me out of anger, and the way that he was taking care of the kids. And so I've said it before that even after everything, because of the way that I am and the way that my brain works and the way that I've handled this situation, I could 100% move on from this if he was willing to give it a try. And so I decided that I would give him another chance, but I needed to see that that effort would continue, because I wasn't going to put myself in a situation where this could happen again. Unfortunately, the effort stopped, and it became a kind of like emotionally abusive situation for both of us. It wasn't healthy, it wasn't fixed, it wasn't going in the right direction. We realized that it wasn't working out. And in my mind, I kept telling myself 100% if I stay the way that he is right now, he will relapse, and I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I'm not going to be here 10, 20 years later in the same exact situation. And so seeing that effort, yeah, we got back together. That might be a little bit controversial. I keep saying that wrong. A lot of people don't know about that. I don't think we even told our families about that because we knew that it might not last. But unfortunately, even with counseling and like the good things that were going on, when he kind of fell back into the not trying, the not effort, other things fell apart, and it just wasn't a good situation for either of us to be in.
Do you ever see yourself moving back to Southern California? That's the plan.
Yeah. So the answer is yes. That's again why we're keeping the house, because to move all the way across the country, I want to have somewhere to move to with my kids. So we've looked into like tiny homes.
We do plan on moving back to California. We've been looking at tiny homes, RVs, like fifth wheels, that kind of stuff. Looking at something small, inexpensive to be able to help transition into our move over there. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's another reason why we haven't left this place, because we don't want to move into separate places and then have to move again. Well, we're trying to figure that out. We're actually trying to plan a trip right now to go down there to look at job situations, living, stuff like that, and try and figure everything out so that we can get that going relatively soon. Okay.
Define your relationship status, because people are confused.
I don't know why everyone's so. I mean, I guess they're still confused because like we're still uploading videos together. The thing is, like, we upload videos when we're together, not every day. If you guys would like to see a video in our everyday life where we have our routine where things are separate, we can do that as well, so that it's less confusing and you guys can kind of see how it is. But we're uploading the videos like when we're together because our YouTube is together, if that makes sense. But we're not together. And if you mean like define our individual relationship statuses, I'm pretty sure we're both single.
You're pretty sure?
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you?
Yes, I'm single.
You're the one I don't know about.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Okay.
single, he's single.
What
There's
does the next
no-
year have in store for you?
I think this is kind of for both of us, so I'll answer for me. I was talking to my friends the other day about how I've always had these New Year's resolutions, and I don't always stick to them. I think that's very common. I think it's something like 83% I heard on the radio the other day drops off their New Year's resolution within the first few months. But I'm really excited this year to like have time to focus on myself. I think it's kind of a weird way to word that because people get offended when I say that. But I'm trying to look at the bright side of the situation. And for me, that's being able to like focus on myself, and I want to get to the point where I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my life. I want to be like mentally, emotionally, physically healthy and just feel good. I want to have experiences with my friends and with my kids and just have a good next year, if that makes sense. Like I just want to look back and be like, okay, I'm in a good place and I feel healthy and like I have a good relationship with the people around me and I'm surrounding myself with good people. So basically I just want to be positive and happy and travel and have experiences and just make sure that we're in a good place next year, if that makes sense. It's kind of vague, but it's basically what it is. What about you?
I have no idea. Halfway through the year, I'll have to look at getting a new job. I want to be a helicopter pilot. I already have hours logged. I've already flown a bunch of times. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to fly. But I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea what next year has in store for me.
The next question is, are there any fun traveling plans for
2019.
2019? I'm sorry too, guys. Like, I always have problems talking naturally, but I feel so horrible right now. Like, physically, I feel just horrible. That's why I'm trying to, like, chug water. So I'm, like, distracted by feeling horrible. Anyways, any fun traveling plans for 2019? We're planning a trip to California to talk about, like I said, living spaces, stuff like that.
It's this year. What about next
true.
year?
I don't know. I know my business partner, like I talked about in a previous video, I'm starting a business with a friend, and we've talked about like doing trips to New York for like inspirational purposes or like work trips to LA and stuff like that. So we might have a work trip somewhere fun. I want to take the boys somewhere. I want to do like a family trip once a year with the boys. I think we're going to go to Nevada. We'll talk about that later, so I'm going to keep that super vague. I think we're going to go to Nevada with the boys next year, but it's all just kind of up in the air right now. We don't really know. Okay. 2 more questions, we're almost done.
What do you say to the people that say we should cut you some slack because we don't know both sides of the story and what you've dealt with in your relationship? I would say, why are you trying to cut me slack in the first place? You guys stupid? Do you know what I've been doing
A little harsh.
this entire 5 years? I've been nothing but emotionally and mentally abusive to my spouse. I've done nothing but, cared about myself, put my family last. Like, why should I have any slack? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I think people are saying like they don't know both sides of the story, like what you had to
you
deal
know
with or
both.
how the relationship was for you.
Well, that is
you
both
know?
sides of the story. You have one where you know, my side of the story is not any different than her side of the story. What she says is all true. I've been a jerk for as long as we've been together. That's who I am. I'm an a-hole. You know, when we were dating, that was completely different. And as soon as we got married, it's like, I don't know, something just changed, and then I started being, you know, emotionally and mentally abusive. I played, mentally abusive, I play mind games and stuff like that. I try to manipulate her, you know, into getting something for myself. You know, I always try to look for a way to, you know, what's in it for me sort of mentality. It's always how I've been. I've always been self-centered, egocentric. That's just how I am. I don't think anybody should be giving me slack at all. So that's what I would say.
Okay, we have one last question we've been saving because it's pretty long and it might be a little bit hard to answer, but do you want to read it or do you want me to?
Okay. It's like 2.5 paragraphs, and then I'll put the question at the end. So this person says, as harsh as this may sound, please know I'm only trying to better understand, not attack. I can't imagine how hard addiction is, but the way I see it now, you still have the free will given to you by God, and you still have control of your actions. You still have the ability to physically choose to do the right thing, regardless of how difficult doing the right thing may be. In your case, the right thing would have been to refrain from the extramarital sexual urges and only been intimate with your wife. Addiction or not, you still have the control over your body to not walk out the door and search for sex elsewhere, no matter how hard it is. Why didn't you choose that? You have a beautiful, amazing, kind woman who loves you and has pledged her life to you. She gave birth to your 2 beautiful, healthy children. Do you know how many people would kill to have that? A loving spouse, healthy children, nothing more in the world than precious and amazing than that. Nothing better. Oh, hold on. Let me go back a little bit.
No,
There's nothing more in the world that's more precious and amazing than that. I, for one, cannot have kids due to medical issues causing infertility. I would go to the ends of the earth and back for a family of my own, for healthy children and a family. She is beautiful, Cody. It's hard for me to see someone who does the best thing in the world throw it away for an addiction. How could you do that? And the actual question is, why didn't you fight for your family harder?
Oh, I was going to say something at the beginning and then I told... this wasn't part of the question, but she kind of touched on speaking about how you still have your free will and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And this is something that I wanted to address because I think a lot of people, the way that I come off, you know, and saying that I'm forgiving and compassionate and all of this, that it excuses the actions due to addiction. It doesn't excuse any actions due to addiction at all. We're saying that addiction is a struggle and it's something that he's going through, but it's not an excuse, if that makes sense. I have somebody personally that I know who was addicted to drugs. I mean, I guess still addicted to drugs, but sober. And I remember an instance when she was trying to do better in her life, she was trying to get help, and she called me, and she was in the parking lot somewhere, and she said, I need help. I can't leave myself, I don't have the strength to leave myself. I brought myself out here, but please send somebody to help me. I need help. And she was able to have that strength to reach out and ask for help, even though her addiction was still bringing her towards that drug. We've had the conversation a lot of times before how there are people who are addicted to things and they don't have resources and they don't have options, and they're put in this situation where it's they grew up around drugs, maybe their own parents hooked them on drugs and started them in this lifestyle and they don't have resources to get out of it. But with Cody in particular, he's had these options of people that are doing everything that they can. These miracles that have come into our life with the rehabilitation center, who is going to give him the first ever grant to go there. This has never happened for them before. That was a huge miracle that he was the one that was picked for it, and they were giving him this opportunity. The very last time that he cheated, I had this feeling, and I don't know what it was, but I had this feeling, and I called him, and I actually called him, and he was outside of her house. So he was given those opportunities to take that out, to like save himself, to take those options. And not everyone has those. Again, it's not an excuse even if you don't have those, but if these people are getting these options, you know, like these hands reaching out to them and these opportunities and they're throwing them down, it's not an excuse. Because that still is your free will. You are ultimately choosing the addiction over your family. You're choosing the other person over your family. You're choosing, you know, these things over that. You are making that conscious choice, whether or not you have an addiction or not. But we are trying to bring awareness to addiction and help people understand addiction and stuff like that. We are trying to be compassionate about it. We're not trying to shame the addicts or hate them or say horrible things about them, but it's not an excuse. And so that I wanted to address because we've had a lot of questions on that or a lot of comments on that about how like it's not an excuse and whatever, and it's not. And so I kind of wanted to explain that a little bit more. I'm not sure if I worded that correctly, but that's something that I wanted to say about that, and then you can answer the question.
Why didn't you fight for your family harder? Because, like I just said, I'm a jerk, a douchebag who just didn't, ultimately, you know, at the time, like, I didn't care. Like, I wanted what I wanted. I wanted to do whatever I wanted, and, you know, I didn't take my family into consideration for that, you know?
And I think, like, I kind of talked about this at the beginning of the video, like, when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I was making a lot of mistakes, and to me it was because, you know, that party life or that dating a bunch of people life seemed so exciting and so thrilling because everyone was doing it, and it looked like so much fun, and you get like this momentary high off of whatever you're doing in your life. Anyways, and then you begin to realize that like that kind of lifestyle and those kinds of things aren't going to make you happy. It's not going to bring you true happiness. It's not going to fulfill your life. It's not going to last forever or, you know, be what you want ultimately for your life. And when I realized that, I woke up and I was like, what do I want in my life? What do I want in a partner? What am I looking for? And what's going to make me happy? And so, shh, the dog's crying. And so when I had my family, I was like so overjoyed because I knew what true and real happiness would be, and I knew that like that lifestyle out there that people my age were still living wasn't going to make me happy, and that wasn't going to be a long-term thing. And I don't think that Cody ever had that realization. Like he hadn't had that realization or that time to figure that out. And then when it's like you wake up, you're in this whole, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I really want, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, he never spent the time to figure out, did he actually want a relationship with me? Ever, you know, like, am I the type of person that he wanted to be with? Did he want to be a father? Did he want to have these things happening in his life? What was going to bring him happiness and joy? And we had so many conversations about, like, don't choose this because you're afraid of what other people are going to say, or because it looks bad, or because this and this and that, because that's only caused more and more pain. Like, so many times he told me he didn't want a divorce, and he thought inside that he wanted a divorce, like he didn't want to be with me. But he would say to my face, to everyone else, that he's going to fight for me and fight for our relationship. And he was saying that because that's what was the right thing to say. But he never figured out what did he want for himself. And so I think that like when everything happened, struggling with, well, do I really want this, was kind of holding him back. And it's a big change. Like, you have to change a lot of things in your life to go into recovery. And I needed a lot of things to keep this family together. And he hadn't realized that I think that was like a big part of why you didn't choose to ultimately fight as much as you should in the end. So we're gonna go, I don't know how long this video is now, it's probably like super long. I'm feeling like so crappy, so the dogs are crying. We've just got a lot going on, like usual when we film these videos. I'm probably gonna try and just film this all just one big long part 2 of the Q&A video. Again, any questions, we'll do part 3. We're going to have more videos coming out. I'm going to do one on PTSD because I think that's something that needs to be talked about, and then I have one from our anniversary, or what would have been our anniversary, that I'm going to upload as well. And I think that's pretty much it for now. I don't know when you're going to do your story, or if you want to just answer it in a question rather than just tell your story, but you can answer that. I think another thing we've talked about is like, don't tell your story until you're ready, because otherwise it comes out the wrong way and it doesn't come across the right way and stuff like that. I know that we promised his video and like people are really mad about that, but you have to remember this is somebody's life and this is somebody's recovery. Like what we're doing right now is helpful in our recovery, but we don't want it to get to the point where it is detrimental. So we're going to follow what's best for us and what's helpful for our family, because I don't want something to affect his recovery negatively.
If you have more questions, you can put more questions down below. We can maybe do a part 3 if there's enough questions, but that's it for this video.
Maybe even like a live video, because that would be just kind of flowing more naturally and we wouldn't have to keep stopping and stuff. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll talk about it. Just let us know what you guys want to see down below. We're going to try and have things more stably now that my business is like going and it's about to start and it's about to go smoothly. We're probably going to be able to upload things better and get on a better schedule, hopefully. So we'll see how it goes, but we're trying to do our best. Also, I'm sorry I'm a little bit behind on returning emails. I'm going to have one day every week where I write all the emails to you guys. There's just so many that it takes me a while to get around to all of them, but I'm going to do some of those right after this video. So thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.
Bye.